microphone.
Yes, microphone. So we're back on?
Yeah, we've got a second car, we've got to do that.
Right, so reconvene just in time for Councillor Woodcock to join us. Perfect timing, very efficient. Lovely, so we're going to be moving on to item C2. Right, item C3. Excuse me, sorry. Where's my C3? C3.
C3 Pia.
Treatment plant consent.
Done that.
Done that.
We just
Where's
that.
that?
From Wellington.
Wellington Water, sorry.
Look at this.
Wellington Water.
Yes, yeah.
Wellington Water.
Wellington Water Limited expectations and performance. We did have Charles with us earlier. I don't know if it was so able to join us, but I think he will.
We'll kick off and teach them perhaps to see if he can rejoin.
So I'm going to throw it in 2 seconds, but just before we do that, I'd just like to remind councillors here there's an expectation of collaborative working and politeness and respect. I think this is a difficult report to bring to the table, and this is not an opportunity to air previous grievances. This is just a report that we're listening to. So there'll be time for a discussion at the end of it. Try to keep it all very above there.
Angela's just wanting
Wellington Water
C3.
C3, page 106.
expectations and performance. Yes, so do I have a mover to receive the report? And then I think it's Councillor was seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. All those please say aye. Anybody against? No. Great, motion is carried. All right, thank you, officers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. So this is a difficult report. When Robin wrote this report, initially it was going to talk about some of the problems that we have experienced with and to canvass some of the things that we were doing to try and improve the situation. So you'll be well aware of the problems that we've had in terms of, for example, cost overrun on projects like the Donald Street pump station, which is a real shame because that was a great news story where we got a rising main and a pump station for the one price, and we said it would be delivered on time and budget, and then it wasn't, and it kind of spoiled the party for the project. We've had difficulty with late change of scope, where all of a sudden something's introduced to a project and we can expect it. It's late, it's more money, it causes complication. That is certainly the case with the Greytown wastewater, Greytown drinking water upgrade, and we all know what that's led to. And there's been other things, for example, the way that the Martinborough wastewater treatment plant pause on connections was advised to us. Okay, we had some things that we needed to improve, but there was a list of things that Wellington Water needed to improve as well, and that led to a CE-led review, which we're still implementing. So there have been issues, multiple issues, and often it's not just the problem; it's the way that the problem is communicated to us that we object to. So there's always problems, and we just deal with those and move on. But when they're presented to you late, they're presented to you obliquely or defensively, it just compounds things and makes things even worse. Now, we have done a lot to try and address this relationship and this performance issue with Wellington. We've chronicled that in the paper. You know, the pre-work that we've done with them on things, getting more involved in the projects and program discipline, improving the way that the financial controls operate, especially cost control, better communication across the board. And we have also successfully got local contractors more involved in the mix because that's something that's been asked for repeatedly. For example, the sludging of the plants, which is going to general tender, it's not going to the Wellington Water camp. So we feel as if we have really, mainly through Robin, been working hard on the relationship to improve things. And the paper originally was going to sort of outline that, and we were going to have a conversation with you about it. And then, of course, the fact that Wellington Water forgot to advise their owners of their overhead costs for all their LTPs and for our EAP came up. It was another horrible mess. You would have all seen that the review document has been produced. It was very, very critical. That I don't want to say too much more on it, other than the Wellington Water Board Chair Nick Leggett came out and he publicly apologised. He said it was unacceptable, and he's pledged to take concrete actions to rebuild trust and confidence in Wellington Water. And that report points to a culture problem, and that is something that we actually found in our CE-led review that we did on the Martinborough Wastewater Treatment Plant. One of the things that we found in that was that there's a deeper cultural issue that needs addressing underneath all of this stuff. Now, in light of the fact that now there's another very public scrutiny of Wellington and some hard conversations being had, I'm just not sure about the status of this paper. It's quite an unusual situation to be in. Wellington Water are just under the microscope. The often frustrating thing is that, generally speaking, the people of Wellington Water are great. The operational side of Wellington Water is technically and professionally very good, and we have a good working relationship with 99% of the people that we work with. But it's just that these deeper issues around culture and communication and owning mistakes and having proper fiscal process to protect the owners is missing. And that's what you're all seeing in the newspapers right now. What I can guarantee you is, in the next couple of years, because we are in this boat together with Wellington Water for the next couple of years, we will continue to make improvements and to push on performance. This isn't something that South Wairarapa is experiencing alone. If you read the newspapers, you'll see all of the owners are in a very similar situation. In the Wellington Water Committee, we are part of a group of owners who are very unhappy and pushing for change in the letter of expectation in the new performance frameworks that we're putting together. So I want you to know that we will continue to push hard, and we will continue to look at our own processes too and put a mirror up to ourselves in order to improve the collaborative approach that we have on water. But I'm not sure how much more I can actually say about this, Chair, but I'm happy to take any questions.
So I think I'll open up, I guess, the first statement. So I wanted to say thank you for the work that you've done in this space, and all the operational team that's been involved in this. It's a very detailed report, and one of the things I like about it is it gives some concrete examples of things that have changed and are intended to change, so it feels like it's a good process going forward. And one of my favourite sayings is, if you can't get a good example, at least be a horrible warning. So I like to think that with the lessons learned here, as we move into a new water management space, whatever that looks like after these reforms, we'll be able to take some really concrete stuff of what happens when you don't get it right and how to look for that in the future. So yeah, we'll open to councillors.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I wasn't on council when the decision was made to engage Wellington Water, but I will say that my first experiences with Wellington Water in the last training were not good. But I will say that the performance of Wellington Water as an entity has improved steadily over the last 5 years. That said, obviously the report that makes it very clear there is a long way to go. But I don't think we should walk away from, and I'm going to call out two people, Adam and Charles, who come here regularly and put up with what is a difficult place to probably come and present. And I think those two in particular have been fantastic. Our issues is with Wellington Water as an entity, not as individuals. And I think the staff at Wellington Water need to take that on board as well. And particularly Adam and Charles. So I've a great deal of time and respect for. So that's where I stand on this.
Thank you. Hand up.
I was in no, just, yeah.
Okay, councillor Holmes.
Yeah, first of all, I've been quite a critic of Wellington Water over the years, and of course I was one of the councillors around the table who moved towards bringing Wellington Water on board, and they certainly saved our baking in those early days and boil water notices in Martinborough, for instance. So at the time, of course, they were our godsend. They came here and helped us out. I have to say, I have to give South Wairarapa District Council staff, and particularly those in our finance department, along with Stefan's team, and identifying some of the things where we've raised them to the table, but they've also picked up on them themselves, and they've taken Wellington Water to task on our behalf, effectively, to improve the systems and improve the way that they communicate a whole raft of things. And I'm quite grateful for this report, because at the end of the day, the things that were highlighted and that are being addressed, and they're not being shoved under a table. Certainly in financial management, Charlie and Karen, I want to mention those two people, for instance, picked up on a number of things, and then bringing Robin on board to improve that and enhance that relationship between South Wairarapa and Wellington Water has been a huge milestone. So it's not all about us, but it's certainly about our staff, for instance, who really work hard to make sure that relationship's improved and enhanced. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Stefan and Robin, for the report. Firstly, is just a thing here that says about larger projects getting tendered out, and I would like to see it go a step further where all their work is given to local contractors rather than ones from over the hill. Secondly, I'd still like to see some evidence where we are fine combing their charge outs. Everyone knows about the forklift story I've told. And I've got many stories, but I actually had a contractor from Wellington turn up on my doorstep a couple of weeks ago, come to my place, not realising I'm a councillor, explaining to me how he was going to do a job for Wellington Water. He doesn't really like coming over here because it takes him away from his Wellington work. But he told Wellington Water this, and they said, don't worry about it, just charge us extra and we'll pay the bill. So we're paying for guys to come from Wellington to do work over here at extra cost when there are local guys that do that exact same job he does. And I'm not going to mention names because I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but I would like to see a lot more due diligence done on what we're being charged and what we're getting for value for money. Yeah, very good for what you're getting through, getting to where you've got now.
Look, this is such a good report. Thank you so much. It actually really is, and it does drill down and cover some of the issues. I mean, yeah, that was had. I've always been in two minds with regards to the Wellington Water and the South Wairarapa District Council and how we fit. And of course, that concern was exacerbated over the first triennium that they did come on, and over that time, with the amount of money that has been put into water, and it is a lot. And I think there needs to, it would be good that people knew this is how much this money that we said was going from your rates has been put into the work, and this is what Wellington Water have given, because it's actually could be a good news story. It does, we don't know. And every year we say this is the amount that we're needing to get from you because from rates to go towards this. And then they're good news stories, and that need to be told because a lot of it's underground and out of eyesight. So that's just where, I see this, that kind of next step almost, because a lot of additional rates increases have been due to water. And and that's been due to reports from Wellington Water that we've then had to act upon as governance. And I'd like to see that part of it where we get that, those good news stories out. And they're done.
Point. I'm going to throw to Councillor Bos online. Bos?
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Chair. I never thought I'd say that. Say this. I kind of agree with Councillor Woodcock on this. At times, I've been sceptical of some of the comments that have been made around Wellington Water, preferring to give them the benefit of the doubt. But increasingly, the benefit of the doubt was just left me hanging. And I think I'm in agreement. I think some more evidence of the fine tooth combing needs to be a part of this. It's a great report. It's sobering reading. I think, but none of us are surprised by this. I think, but I think there's still the proof will be, pardon the pun, in the pudding. It'll be it's easy to write this stuff down and go, that's what we're doing, but I want to see clear evidence that we are actually making progress in these areas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, also, I'd like to thank you very much for this excellent report. I just need to add a little bit, and I know you're coming from Woody, but I think it's really great that it's opening up more at looking at local suppliers for doing the tendering. But I think we have a responsibility to ratepayers to always get the best person for the job. And some of the very big jobs, it might be not possible to use the local tenderer, but if the process is done properly, there would not be those stories.
That's not all jobs, Kay, because that's most of it.
But anyway, I just think that the tendering process has to be done properly, so there isn't any of those rumours going around about avoiding extra costs and things.
Thanks, Chair. I suppose we asked for this report at the beginning of May when we had received that information from Wellington Water about their cost overruns for Donald Street. Unbeknown to us, by the end of May, we all heard the big public announcement of a $51 million blowout from Wellington Water. So we collectively around this table had already started a process to answer some questions. And I see in the report here, one of the headlines or paragraphs is improved financial controls, which Robin and Stefan have included in this report. And reading the report that came out last Friday at the Wellington Water Committee, it was a major topic and a major concern that as an organisation there needed to be upgrades in their financial team, their financial controls and policies. Yes, it's a great report. I think it's important that we keep on asking questions. We, as an organisation or as an owner or part owner of Wellington Water, we keep asking questions. And certainly in the previous triennium, there was plenty of comment from elected members about holding Wellington Water's feet to the fire. I think by going through this process, having Robin and Charles work on this report, it's good to see. I suppose in parallel with that wider range report that came out last week. I see that Janice has just sent all councillors my notes that I made at that meeting, Wellington Water Committee meeting last week, and attached to that is the recommendations that Wellington Water Committee put towards the board, and the last recommendation on that list is to acknowledge the work of the Wellington Water staff, operational staff on the ground, and that goes and follows on from what Alistair has commented earlier, is that the service that staff provide this council and our district, I think, is is good. We just need to be mindful that we are playing the ball, I suppose, to use a sports analogy, play the ball and not the person going forward. And while there's always improvements that can be made, as long as we keep on looking forward and working towards making improvements, that's crucial.
I think the Mayor wants to say something, but if it's the right chair, would I be able to make a final comment?
Yes,
Did you?
Yes, I did. I mean, I think there's a number of sort of both big issues and little issues that come up whenever we discuss Wellington Water. And one of the big issues is that we are both, I mean, people have referred to us as one of the owners of Wellington Water. So we are a shareholder. Therefore, we have responsibilities in that arena, but we're also a customer at the same time. And this creates a number of problems, I think, and we see them on a reasonably regular basis. I think we have adopted the view in the past, and it seems to have carried over, that because Wellington Water is a council-owned, council-controlled company, that therefore we have to use it. But that is definitely not true. There are plenty of councils that have set up CCOs, and then when they put the work out to tender, the CCO didn't bid low enough to get it and just had to carry on as a company in its own right, minus that council's work. And what I am aware of from speaking to other councils is that certainly some of them have been much more willing to tender out work themselves under their own, sort of purchasing system. And possibly one of the most amusing stories comes from Upper Hutt, who saved the best part, I believe, $1.25 million on replacing a water pipe along their main street. But the amusing part of the story is that they saved the money using potentially one of the same companies that would have got the work had Wellington Water been in control of it. So in the report, it talks about the panel. The panel is a group of, if you like, pre-approved contractors who can come and do the work without tendering, competitive tendering in the normal course. And one of the people on the panel, one of the firms on the panel is that Wellington Water use a lot of, particularly in cities, is Fulton Hogan. And the recent report that Wellington City commissioned looked very much at the contract that Wellington Water has with Fulton Hogan. And it too was very, very critical of that because of its, because the contract removed any need for Fulton Hogan basically to go in for any sort of competitive tendering or even justifying what their prices were. It was just a cost-us type of arrangement. It was, as that particular report said, Fulton Hogan must love this type of arrangement. So picking up the comment I think Stephanie made that the sludge clearing is going to be via competitive tendering. And I mean, every pond in the country needs to have its sludge cleaned, so there must be lots of companies out there that can do it. I would expect we would get a better price than we normally would. And I would certainly encourage that approach with many more activities, both big and small. My last comment is just coming from the, if you like, the bigger questions, that there is also something at a much lower level, which is, if you like, a sense of service, a sense of responsibility to customers. And I find water very, very lacking in this area. So, for example, at the moment at Featherston, there's a very unhappy person who's had a very loud pump put outside his house. Nobody ever came and discussed it with him. The gentleman in question assumed it would be there for a week or so at the most, This prevents him from renting his flat. It keeps him awake at night. And I've been and I've listened to it, and I would be immensely unhappy if it was outside my place, as I imagine you would. Quite frequently, I find in Greytown, Wellington Water comes and does work but never completes it. So I'm thinking here we dig a hole, they don't come and patch it properly afterwards. I also noticed that when Janice rings them up, it somehow gets patched the very next day. So that whole sort of relation of customer service, which affects, people on a day-to-day basis, is also an area where this company could do a lot better.
So I think the report is not around general critique or otherwise for Wellington Water. It's a lessons learned and how do we move forward, operational point. So do you want to wrap it up for us?
Yeah, just really quickly, and I want to give Robin the last word, because I can see she's pointing at things on her page and has got something to add. But just to underline some earlier comments, I just want to reassure you again that these are not, these are things that we're doing every day. So I see Robin going through budgets for projects with Wellington Water line by line, the desludging projects line by line, and asking the right questions about those projects and how they're constructed and how they're priced. And Robin, and soon to be Andrew, I hope you're taking notice, Andrew, soon to be Andrew, are in the financial meetings, on the phone to people about accounts and scope and estimates constantly. And there is a lot more early exposure of financial information and project information to us now, which allows us to interrogate it earlier and find any deficiencies or discuss any problems with Wellington Water earlier. So these aren't just things on a page. I want you to, be reassured that we do this stuff with them every day, and we will continue to do that as long as we're in a relationship with them.
Thanks, Stephen, through the chair. Two updates for you. I suppose an update. I mentioned here the development of an agreed performance framework. That was the committee asked, the Wellington Water Committee asked for that through the letter of expectations. I can confirm that we have had a meeting on this. Unusually, for Wellington Water, they brought in a external mediator to help in that discussion, and we only had relevant Wellington Water people in the room along with the councils. It was a very positive discussion that we had, and we talked about coming up with performance measures that were benchmarkable and also that could show value. So that would actually measure value, not just dollars. And that's work underway, and that will come back to you. The second thing I wanted to say is that going forward from here, as we look at local water done well and the entity or the relationship we want to have with and what joint arrangements we want to have going forward, as was mentioned, I think by one of the councillors, there's lessons in here that we can build into our criteria analysis of what's going to be important for us when we make a decision on who we go forward with. So we have a team, the Wairepa Tararua team, that's developed some of those criteria, and the things that we're looking at is, in terms of procurement, are there regional benefits that will accrue to us through the model that we select, which is really important. Will our level of service improve? Will we be able to reach out and know who is accountable? We'll know who to. Is it aligned with the statutory board and water resilience strategy and water storage? So those are all the criteria that we're going to be looking at when we make decisions going forward. And what we've experienced in the is we've been able to all that analysis. So it's quite useful.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Thank you very much. I think we'll finish with that. Well done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Robin and Kieran.
Thank you. That was
Awesome.
It's a really good report, really.
very good summing up. I love that.
Andrew, thank you for joining us. Okay, cool. So what we're going to move on to next is
Oh, right, okay.
Going back to these.
Yeah, I think that's what Asian, not right.
C2, that was very, nice one. Is it what? That's a C3,
Yes, it's this one.
Yeah, should we do Tim's thing first then?
We do Tim.
yeah.
I think
I did.
because he's really proud of this report and deck that's coming
It'll
forward.
be a long time. It's 7 corridor.
See.
C1. Yeah. Dublin.
No, so we're going to go to,
C4 or something, is it D1 or C4?
D1.
sorry, I've made a bit of a commitment
Page 87.
today, so thank you for being flexible. We're going to go to the Dublin Street heavy traffic pass report.
Yes.
Jim C1, do I have a mover to receive the report? Edwards, and do I have a seconder? Got polls. All those in favour, please say aye.
Bye.
Against? Great. Ms. Lemon, Ms. Ford.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just kick it off and Tim is the details man here for you. Look, I think this report basically, it's for information, it doesn't require a decision, but it's very helpful, I hope, for future decisions that may be made in relation particularly to the long-term plan. The report tells you a lot of what you probably already know, but in one place. And that is that the traffic on the road is around 1,000 vehicles a day and 11% of that is heavy. That isn't particularly high volume in relation to that type of road. It's a normal, we understand, and without digging it up and doing tests, we understand that it's just a normal road. It's built in exactly the same way as any other road. The only exception to that is that it's wider than normal roads to accommodate the heavy traffic and parking around the school. The level of service on the road is correct for the type of road that it is. So we're meeting that level of service for the district. And our maintenance is on track. It's programmed for that road according to the asset management plan. In addition, you know that we have done some additional unbudgeted work on the surface of the road last year, which has improved the travel. Changes. So if we were going to change the road, there's a figure in there for what high performance asphalt would cost. It's an eye-watering amount. And of course, before you did that, you would do all of your subsurface work. You would make sure all of your water and sewage service work was done beforehand, which you would also have to program some of it unbudgeted, because the last thing you want to do is do the road and then have to pick it up again the day later. So that cost is it's an estimate, low confidence estimate, but it wouldn't include your subsurface work that you'd have to undertake. We will also, as part of the speed review, which is we're waiting for approval, reduce the speed on that road. And speed reduces wear, and speeding and reducing the speed increases safety. So we will do that. We might be in a bit of a scrap with the government on that, because we have suggested a permanent reduction in speed, which was what you've asked for. The government is saying, well, you should probably just do temporary, non-permanent. And so we'll see where that lands, but we know what we want at least. And then, of course, if you wanted to do anything more than that, including more research, you could commission that through the alternate. So I hope this is useful. we're here to answer any more questions that you might have. I'm not sure if we've covered everything that you wanted in the report, but we'll open that up there.
Am I right in thinking that one of the reasons that this was asked for was because there was concerns about the noise on the street?
That was one of the things, yes, it was, Chair.
Yeah, and that the noise has had reduced following the remediation that's already happened, but not with substantial volume.
It's very hard to answer that question. We did do a lot of work on the surface to smooth it out, and we had some feedback from residents that we'd successfully reduced the noise. And then we had a couple of residents say that we hadn't reduced the noise. So, you know, it's we haven't had sound meters out there. We hope we've had an impact, because you're not getting the banging, particularly the trailers on the articulated trucks. But, you know, it is still got, you know, you've got 1,000 vehicles a day, 11% of the heavy vehicles. You will get some noise. Yeah.
Councillor Fleming.
Thanks, bud. I like the report. Thank you. We've finished the Featherston master plan now, and really the logical place to take this to its next logical place, assuming that the growth areas that we've looked at in the Martinborough growth region, would suggest possibly that we're going to be looking at a bypass down the track, which is going to go close to the sewage pond. Is that what we talked about somewhere? But further.
I haven't been part of that discussion.
No, they don't. Only that, you mean the Martinborough one?
But that's the logical place to possibly have the conversation about future bypasses, whether this is suitable for, because otherwise it's just money on a road that already exists and already is as bylaw. And when are we starting the Martinborough detailed planning process?
To answer your question, Council, through the chair, as with any project work, relies on resource, waiting for the return of my planning manager, and that factor in won't give any date, but hopefully next year. We want efficiency and follow on in terms of putting our ideas into growth for towns, but as a rough answer to you, next year.
Thank you.
The councillors will all sort of intermediate level growth planner, but that securing that position is later down amongst other appointments.
So I would suggest then that if there's no appetite around here to spend money on digging up the road to do more tests or resurfacing it, because it's a lot of money, then perhaps that's where we should have that conversation about what is the future of this as a bypass going forward, noting that we've asked for a speed reduction as part of our safety plans. Otherwise, we're going to be spending more money on something that I certainly wouldn't support.
So you're foreshadowing work that hasn't been discussed or advised or brought up. And
that's where it should be discussed.
But in your opinion, this is potentially going to be a body of work that the council may look at sometime in the future, and that should weigh up the information in this report against that.
Not quite like that, because the detailed plan for Martinborough is going to be done. This is a topic that could be discussed as part of that, as we did with Featherston, with rail closures and all these other things that get taught in the planning of a town.
Just to be really clear into the microphone for them, anybody who happens to be listening at home, we're not building a new bypass.
No, we're not. No,
yeah.
Not suggesting we're building a new bypass, suggesting that where that this conversation could form part of the conversation about the detailed planning of the future of Martin.
Okay, so this is quite a valuable report to have to add into that.
Yes. Yeah. Good point. So sorry if I represented that we were going to build a new bypass. We're not.
Build a whole new
the conversation. So sorry, Aidan.
Thank you very much for this report. It's really appreciated. And pretty much tells us exactly what we knew anyway. One, that the bypass has been there. So it's great that the information has been picked up to that you know, and was the bypass prior to myself being born. And so it has been in place for quite some time. And also I'd just like to note that with regards to the annual average daily count, what it's showing in 2022 is actually, I believe, more of a representation of the school, because the school has grown so significantly from 2014 to 2022 that is probably movements from not heavy vehicles, which would explain why heavy vehicles has gone down. So really appreciate the work that's gone into here, but explaining about the width of the road and that is why it is the bypass and has been for some time. It's great just to be able to show it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions? No? Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for those.
Right, I'm off. Chair, I have to leave, I'm afraid. I need to get somewhere, so. Thank you very much.
I'll put my apologies in as well, leaving.
Oh, so I put my apologies in, I'm tired.
Nothing else to vote on anyway, is it?
Are the remits?
Let's go to action reports.
Five opinions.
I get it.
Two more things to go.
That's what we've.
Gotta go to work.
Yeah, I need to go as well, Chair. I've put my members' report for the Greytown Community Board in as on the chat. Whether you can see it or not, my apologies. But I'm not lasting. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for.
No, thanks very much, Chair. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, take care, Bozzy.
See you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you.
That number is called in.
So,
I think.
Your purpose going it.
Yeah, but I've moved mine from 233 to try and make sure.
Oh, so do I. Oh, I'll be going crazy.
crazy, yeah. Okay, all right. So we are going to now.
Operation tomorrow, not today.
Local Government New Zealand remits. That's item B2. This is the Local Government New Zealand remit 2024. Do you want me to move it? Well, no, you're just going to speak to the report and then we'll look at some actions. Voting, that's on
Page 33. Gators, Gators.
yours.
It's B2.
This is just for the upcoming LGN conference. The annual meeting takes place in the conference, and we are looking at remits. So what we have today is 8 remits that need a vote for either yes, no, or abstain. And then new for this year, it's LGNZ are also asking us to prioritise the remits as well, which is a new thing that they're mentioning for.
So I'm hoping that the members have all read the remits. We're not going to be litigating these too deeply today. We're going to look for some successes and no's. So I'm going to run down through the list. If anybody has anything that they want to add to it, they can. But we'll just go 1 through 10. Do we receive the report first and then we advise, or should we just go through it?
I think you need to receive the report. How you want to vote, and then go back and say you're authorising that. Okay. Vote.
So do I have a mover to receive the report? All the seconds, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? So we're going to go down through the list and start with yes, no, or abstain for the proposed remit around the representation review. So I'll get a show of hands for supporting that.
Yes.
Don't quite know what they're asking.
Oh, the remit's here.
Oh,
But I know, but it doesn't ask for it. I know, I'm reading the report and it says to me,
Yeah.
advocate for changes that support provision of time.
Yeah, so we're voting on the community.
Seriously, don't care, abstain.
Okay.
I
Abstaining.
Abstaining.
Yeah, abstain.
care
He's
very strongly.
abstaining.
Yeah.
It's abstaining, but we have 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 is a community services card.
Yep.
Yes, I think that's great.
Number 3 is the local government constituencies and wards should not be subject to referendum.
Correct, I agree.
Yep.
Yes.
I support that. So we have 1 against and support. Yep. That's 4, so that's a yes and no. If there's, just to add on to this, if you want it to be noted that you don't support these, we can note that, but otherwise it's the majority.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 4 is the entrenchment of Māori ward seats for local government.
That's
Yep.
that.
So we have 5, 4, and 1, 2 against.
Staying.
Abstaining on that one. Number 5 is graduated driver licensing systems.
Think about this one.
This is one I don't understand.
You know, I didn't.
Because I don't think it's in any, there's any clarity around what is the change they want.
Stand up.
And the issue is not a graduated problem. The issue is actually that there's not enough testing officers out there that actually do it.
The problem.
So we're not going to support that. No.
Well, I wouldn't say we're not going to support it. I guess what we need to do is have
Clarification.
what it.
Yeah. Could I suggest?
Today is.
Okay, so-
Could I suggest then that we let our delegates at the meeting decide on that
Okay.
based on the argument there? Because it's not a fundamentally governance important one, but if there's arguments that we haven't got in this paper, then, I respect that our delegates are smart enough to make a decision.
Yeah, so can I just make a comment on that? Because one of the things we've decided before we've gone off to conference is just get some indication from councillors, not necessarily a black and white yes or no, but some direction from councillors around the table before we go and, as delegates, present or listen to this.
But now there's a requirement.
Well, there's a yes and no. I mean,
It's yes and no's, and then we need to have a prioritisation.
yeah, and that's what you're saying yes, we support this, or no, we don't support it. Then you're saying, well, in terms of priorities, what do we see? It's goods and services tax, whatever. So we're preempting. Sorry, we're getting some guidance from council, because remember, local government, we only get one chance to talk on this sort of stuff, and then the presenters, for instance, will put their spin on it. And really the delegates we choose to vote at the end of the day are the decision makers. They're the ones who are going to.
So I think it's Councillor Bosley is our delegate for this. He's seconded Melissa. Right?
Yes, yeah. So, and unfortunately, neither of those two are here to hear the conversation.
I'm the third though.
So yeah, at least they can get some guidance. Jen.
Through the chair, I have seen this go horribly wrong when the delegates vote in a way that the members around the table didn't expect it to.
Yeah.
And there's been some very nasty backlash against the delegate when they've come back, because it wasn't clear what the majority around the table felt about the vote on the written. And that's why I've asked the team to go with a yes, no or abstain, so that we're clear going into that meeting what the majority view is, rather than a personal view on the day.
So the likes of the driver's licence one, the person who presents the remit will talk to that one, then they'll be able to provide and answer a lot of questions, for instance, where that person's not here today. So we're a little vague, and I'd hate to think just because we're a little bit vague that we don't support it, and then our delegates sit there and that's a helpful idea. Let's support it against the wishes of our council, So
can I talk to the driver's licence one, because it's raised at the Road Safety Council regularly by me. Obviously, I've got a teenager who's going through this very process. So it's topical at the moment because there is a long waiting list from the time you do your learner's licence till you can get to do your actual test, and then to get your full licence. The problem around the country is that there is a contract that has been let by Waka Kotahi to do the licence testing. That company is not providing enough driver testers to get through the process. So every council is going, woe is us, we need to fix this. And it is mainly rural councils that have this problem, because our young people have to go from Martinborough to Marston or whatever to work, and the buses aren't suitable and so on. So there's the issues here. Solving the issue by going, let's change the licensing regime is not necessarily the best way to do this, when the answer is quite simple, that the people who have the contract need to fulfil the terms of the contract adequately.
Let's give it a yes, so that that's giving our delegates direction. Support?
No, I wouldn't support, because it's trying to change the law that is actually a workable law, but has not been implemented by the people who have got the contract to do it.
And because the contracted people doing the testing, driver testing, they come from over the hill. Because I know both my kids have just gone through their learner license process, and there's only, 2 schools they can go to learn how to drive. And if that driver or that teacher is sick, there is nobody else to take his place to teach your children how to drive so they can progress.
We don't know if this is going to change any of what you were talking about. It's lacking in detail.
Well, the people who present the remit have a responsibility to be clear.
Yeah.
These people have not.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, if you say yes to everything, what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
Or shall we vote
Good
no?
point.
Well, I don't know if I want to vote no. I think that this is one where I think that as councillors, we have already chosen people to go and represent us at this, and I'd like to say that I'd like them to listen and to make that decision then, if they feel that they've heard a good enough argument, but I'm not, I would rather not at this time place a yes or no vote,
Well, I
because
think
I do believe it needs more information.
we also do have the option to abstain from voting on this. We haven't been given enough option information about it. It's a nice bit of background information around the licensing system.
Maybe there should have been.
That we
I'm really concerned that this remit is a knee-jerk reaction to an issue that is currently in society. It's not a well thought out process. When, as I said, the issue is not the process, the issue is the implementation of the process.
Yeah. Oh.
And so a knee-jerk reaction is not a good way to do governance.
We should have another option there as.
Let's
No way.
feeling of more no on the table.
So my view would be no.
Yeah. And
More homework.
I'll abstain. Like I say, I'd rather leave that. So,
should we vote?
No.
Okay, so who wants to support this? Hands up. No one, anybody want to vote no? Great, so we've got 3 no's and then abstentions. So we're abstaining from voting.
I need a bit more.
Number 6 is the proactive lever to mitigate the deterioration of buildings. Would like.
I don't know, which way are you going to go for that one?
Oh, down.
Oh.
So that was a unanimous, yes.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the appropriate funding
Another
for
one.
central government initiatives. Again, this is one on the face of it, I think looks quite good, but also seems a little vague in its scope. To vote yes, this, to support this.
I would, if it's a funding model that helps us. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, central government.
Some who would like to not support it, vote no. So we've got 1 no and any abstentions?
Yeah, I'm going to abstain because I'm not quite sure what they're trying to achieve here.
So why are they pushing for central government initiatives when they're needing to?
So this is for when the central government puts things in place that local councils have to meet. It imposes a cost on us. And
Like the roads.
this remit is around funding. The central government would have to provide funding for initiatives.
Oh, okay.
Imposing on us.
You want to vote for this?
So we're voting.
No, it's not. That's not what this remit is. This remit is to proactively promote and lobby for the development of a more equitable. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, an appropriate funding model.
What does that mean?
Initiatives, it's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not asking for anything. It's saying,
Very clear.
let's throw our toys up in the air and see what comes down.
I think because interpreted, the chairperson interpreted it quite correctly.
Yeah.
Correctly.
I agree.
If that's what you're.
I think Northland is missing a very good advisor on their remits since we've nicked her.
I will.
Their loss.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Why did we vote yes on the basis that the delegates can assume that the chairperson's interpretation is correct? So they vote.
We have a provision for that, a yes, no, abstain section.
Just a yes.
But I'm a yes, thank you.
And I'm absolutely yes on number 8.
Can't be bad.
Or
But before in the past.
that Number 7, you're on yes?
Sorry, I've done some of those.
Asking, so it's a yes on that one. And then number 8 is the GST revenue sharing with the local government.
Oh, totally.
That's a result.
Why should our money leave our district?
That one is.
Oh, it's going
Been happening.
to income tax.
It's backdated.
Yeah, they haven't income.
Let's put it on backdated.
Backdated when GST came in?
Yeah.
1800, yeah. Okay, and so now we
And we,
prioritise the remits.
it'll be
Number 8 would be number 1 for me.
where the tax they take off on us. That $2.
As the works for them.
So I would propose that our
Be my second.
priority would be number 6, because that, Manston, Featherston in particular, so I would suggest.
Yeah,
Can I suggest that
it's for the building.
that the second, number 8, it would be a financial windfall for this district, and that's not demolition of a derelict building. So number 6 would come in second. for me. So number 1 would be 8, number 6 would be,
Are we happy with that?
number 8 would be 1, number 6 would be 2.
Yeah.
GST is.
GST has been very important.
Yeah.
We're doing that.
No, I would
Their order, I think.
prioritise the buildings because I believe that is actually something that's achievable. There's no way this government, as with the last, is about to share 15% of their revenue with us.
But that's not,
They will if they put our
That
tax.
doesn't mean we could give up on it, but
it's got to change. I mean, so many other countries.
Right for everybody.
But, we've got to keep the pressure on for that.
So I'm going to be very generous here and let's put 8 as number 1.
Yeah.
we put a,
Let's put a hand up.
everyone happy with that?
Yep, yeah. Who wants number 8 as number 1?
Who's happy to have number 8 as the first priority?
Totally.
And number 1 is 8.
Yeah, right. Number 1 is
Number 8.
number 1.
We want them.
Is
What?
GST.
Are we ranking them?
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Why are we ranking them?
But we have to.
Why? That's not an answer. We have to. That's not an answer.
Give them priority.
Do that this year, which they've never asked me.
But why?
Oh, right, yeah, they're
Why are
making
we
us.
wasting our time ranking them? I'm sorry, it's a wa, can we just move on? It's a waste of time.
I know you don't like.
Actually, I'd say number 10 would be number 1.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, it's just the bureaucrat said, let's rank them.
So the order is related to how much money and resourcing goes into these remits, and hence why it's important to prioritise them, because I think they're looking for some clear direction around the intent at which they work on these
They can't
remits.
do that.
Resignation would seem to be a good way to save money.
I think that's really good. They're asking for guidance.
All right.
Yeah.
And up and move on. Okay, so number 8 is number 1, number 6, number 2. What are we going to have for number 3? Is that most
Number 4.
number 4?
Totally, I would have put number 1.
I agree. We have
It's me.
good. Number 4,
Community services card.
I'm happy with it.
I think that's one too high.
I don't. Really have a vote on it?
I'd put the graduated driver license.
What are we going to have for number 4?
Sorry, Janice.
What was the next one?
I just can't get enthusiastic about it.
Well, that's already number 5.
We've got GST first, and then we've got unoccupied buildings second. We have got entrenchment
Are they priorities?
third. We've got community services cards as 4th.
So I think community services card should go up because that's actually going to make a difference to people.
No,
So
it's fine then.
Yeah, perfect.
I think that next would be the appropriate funding model for number 7 next.
8 is 1.
Yep.
6 is
Oh, then I'd make that number 8.
I think so.
3.
What is 3?
He's about central government.
2 is 4. 7 is 5.
7 is 5.
6.
I would actually prioritise my kids getting a license before I put others.
Review.
Presentation review.
Yeah, which got to see.
3 have we got?
6 should be remit 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that.
It's number 3, isn't it? Oh, well done.
I feel like number 4 needs to be a lot.
Can't be much higher, can it?
Sorry, could you just sorry, I missed the order now. What is it now?
8. Votes 4, 2, 7, 1, 3, 5.
So 5 is number 8. So 5 went down to number 8.
Was there a vote?
Hang on, Colin wants to move one of them up.
The one that we're saying to the nation on it.
You better read that order out because it's really important.
It's actually not a local government thing.
I don't mind either way.
Okay, again, in order.
It's what's the finish.
Remit 8, remit 6, remit 4, remit 2, remit 7, remit 1, 3, remit 5.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, it's better than nothing.
Just vote
Okay.
on this tool.
They're like the same short straws.
Do I have a mover to authorise primary nominee to endorse the remits with our following votes? That's the yeses and the noes. We've got a mover as Colin. I'll second that.
I'll vote for it just if we can move on.
Generous, thank you. We really.
Yes.
Participation.
Governance in action. How wonderful.
Favour?
Alright.
One against? Great, and then, B was to, I have a mover to authorise a primary nominee to prioritise the remits as just, as we out. Move that.
Oh, we did go, that's it.
Then you've
So
got.
the first one was to, yes.
Oh, yes, please. Can we just, let's get on with it.
Yeah, he's done it.
As nominee is.
Alistair.
Second it. Second it. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anybody against?
Good.
Great. Good job.
Please tell me we don't have to do that for another year.
You know, right.
Thank God for that.
Ooh,
Okay.
I thought we were playing official.
Beach well report.
Action items.
oh, yeah.
The first three.
So I have mover to receive the report, councillor Plummer, and Violet is our seconder. All those in favour?
Aye.
Right.
Any updates to that?
Oh, no, sections.
We will be closing number 32 now. Given that the Dublin Street.
Number 3.
516, you meant? Oh.
Okay, right down the bottom.
On page 116, number 32,
Oh.
the Dublin Street.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay, that's fine.
Close.
Pete, how's it going with the District Joint Committee on Climate Change?
I'll be taking a
lot.
report, letter presentation TBC to the next combined council meeting.
Okay, okay, so there is, okay, can we just have an update put on there, because I know that you've been doing work, but it just doesn't look like things happen.
Next page. At the top of the next.
Oh, it is so, okay, sorry. Sorry,
Squeeze that.
That's it. For them all.
they're here.
It's going on the agenda.
More.
Ah.
Continued on next page.
And capital also is gonna sort with Stefan. So maybe we can have an update with regards to the no mow policy at the next meeting.
1:34, that workshop is now scheduled for 7 August, thank you.
Is that 409?
1:34.
Wait.
Where are you? Okay,
Next 118.
sorry, I was just working my way down, so. Oh, nice. Wasn't I?
Has the invite been sent out for?
Yes, it should be in diaries, council.
Oh, good, thank you.
Funny.
We go back to, well, we're not discussing each of the open ones.
So page 118, that would need to be updated. So that- that's in the-
That's all I have to say.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair, is it possible for 409, because I'm just working from the top down, is it possible for 409 for that to be, and perhaps it needs to go through you, Dennis, to be what the workload is like? I don't want to put anything on Stephen if he's too busy, but just so through you, if you're able to have a look, if that can be followed up for the next meeting.
we've got an immense workload at the moment trying to work our way through the LTP strategies. I'm not sure that we're in a position to commit to no mo at this point.
Well, it's actually not, it's not my action, it's Mr. Bosley's action.
Yeah.
I was waiting for some
Direction.
feedback on potentially Trial Street that the community might select and then see what it looks like. And I was hoping that the community board would really progress that. I didn't understand this to be my action. I may have that wrong.
Does say, the last thing on there, councillor Bosley to discuss next steps with.
Well, that's it. So maybe then if we could get, Boss to have a look at this, just so we can find out, because my belief is it's meant to be a part of the long-term, like to actually have something where it may be possible to put it into the long-term plan, so.
Talk to Boz, he'll be able to give
Yeah.
an update. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a report to the next meeting.
No.
So
Boz,
I should
Yeah, yeah,
be clear that
Supposed to do.
that's why it just needs to be followed up.
Before no,
Next 12 for coming, it's been the other one. That's fine.
That's where I know.
So we're talking about local water done well as part of the next topic.
So
No,
what's this one?
Local water's done well.
Which one's that, Alistair?
This is 190. We're talking about that, and I want to raise an issue on that one that I would like. I'm not sure whether now's the appropriate time to do it. I've raised it in the past, and this is about
Page 120.
190,
yeah, 190. So it's
so 120 is.
Not one of any of these ones.
yeah. So there's something in there about local about water. I'll bring it up next topic. I'll bring it up when we talk about the chair's report. That's right.
Fine. Okay, there's that.
One night.
Oh,
anything else to add, any officers?
no, we're doing really well. There's not many open.
Very straightforward.
So 461, that's still ongoing because it says open there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's 188 now? 188 was open for the
What number?
request Wellington Water commit to improve their processes and report back by the end of
Yeah.
July. So we've had that today. So
Yeah.
188 can close.
Yeah.
Closed.
Wellington Water reports. Up to dates.
Yes.
On hold. You forgot these.
Yeah, 188 on page 118.
Yeah, I think it's.
It's one to all the way to we can take one. Action.
970, 295, that's Russell.
Right, okay.
Where are you?
No, no, I was in the diary,
Oh, right.
nothing in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do that.
Now we're going to move on to item D1, which is the chairperson's, just me. Me being Melissa, so this is Melissa's good work. 2 seconds. Yeah, okay.
Yes. Promotion is.
I give a mover to see the report. And seconder. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against?
The approval to the amendments to standing orders is on page.
So we start with it. Okay, so I'm going to take this report as read, hopefully. The first part of the report is around the amendments for standing orders. So this is something that was initially raised to bring the strategy working committee in functions. It's thrown up some inconsistencies within the standing orders which have been addressed. And now it is for us to adopt the amended standing
Yeah,
orders,
so-
if we're happy with them.
Following the workshop, couple of weeks ago, we've taken the feedback from you all, and 15, 15.1 and 15.2 are the revised standing order sections based on what we heard at that workshop. You didn't want to have as much restriction around people's ability to speak, so that's what 15 is about. 15.1 is the 30 minutes, so 6 speakers maximum at any one session with 5-minute limits, and then 15.2 are the restrictions under which the chair could cut shorter speech or public participation. I think the only addition we had there was the word vexatious into the being repetitious, vexatious, disrespectful or offensive was the only addition we had. And then
I propose we accept it.
Yeah, and I second that.
Yes, that's good.
I,
Should we formalise it, Robert? Is a favour mover, councillor Plummer, councillor Oles was second. All those in favour?
Aye.
I,
Anybody against?
And thanks, Janice, to your team for getting
Yeah.
it from me.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
more control of the wards.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So,
if you move
Tourism.
8 to 8.
one job lot.
Seven,
The nominations.
3 to 7 in the North Warwick Water Resilience Work Programme. That's 7, so 3 to 7. Sorry, 3 to.
We go.
Pretty late.
The 8 read together.
What do you want to include those? Think?
Yeah.
Let's put number 9 calls for nomination.
Oh, yeah, sure.
3 to 8.
Yes.
So, would you like me to read all these out?
Oh, we can read them, can't we?
No, red.
They're all read, we'll take these as read. So, the recommendations 3 to 8. We'll take it as a job lot. I have a mover for that. Councillor Macaulay and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Great, okay. And then recommendation 5 about nominating council officers.
This is where I'd like to speak, and I've confused my waters, so sorry. I've confused my waters. So I know this is the water strategy, but I just want to raise an issue, and it's something I would like to get support for Janice to write a letter on our behalf. And it's on local water done well. You know, as councillors, we take on a huge amount of responsibility to do things. And Colin is spending a huge, and I have not spoken to Colin about this, so Colin, keep your track. I've watched how much time and effort over the years Colin has put into water, and now as our representative on local water done well. For $23,000 a year, the extra work he is doing is well beyond what a councillor is supposed to do. So we need to somehow recognise that. He is doing this on behalf of not just South Wairarapa, but the whole Wairarapa and the whole Wellington region. Now, it is unfair, totally unfair, that I get remunerated for doing district plan hearings, and he is doing something that is going to have as big an impact, if not bigger an impact upon our district for many, many years. And I know that that the Remuneration Authority have just completely disregarded that. But as a council, we should actually be writing back to them, and Janice, this is where you come in, writing a letter saying this is completely beyond the scope of a councillor's responsibility and needs to be remunerated appropriately for it. So I would propose that Janice, you write a letter to the Remuneration Authority on our behalf saying this is not fair. We need remuneration for our elected member who is doing this, which is beyond business as usual, way beyond business as usual.
So I absolutely agree and would endorse and strongly encourage that. So we're talking about the different thing.
We are talking about something different. I understand that, but we're talking about, again, putting somebody else to do more water stuff.
Again.
So how much do we put on Colin about water and water and water with no acknowledgement from our community that he's actually doing this and the time it's taking and the effort and the responsibility that goes with it? Pay is not necessarily just about, and sure, I just asked you to keep quiet because this is about you, not for you to talk. All right.
Vexatious, offensive.
Yeah, okay. Because I just think it's wrong. I think it's so wrong that he spends so much time doing this on the community's behalf and there is no acknowledgement for it. And it's beyond what we put our hand up for council. Our council work is, sewerage and, that sort of thing. This is government policy that he is now working on. This is not council policy.
Could I make a suggestion? This could be a separate thing that happens outside of this discussion, and I would suggest an email from yourself that councillors can then support.
Yeah.
Through Janice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very important, but a different time.
Well, I think we should, the public probably want to see that we're going to support this as well. So I'm happy to do a proposal here now that Janice write on our behalf.
It's not on the agenda.
No, it's not.
I know it's not on the agenda, and I wasn't unable, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get here in time to bring up an extraordinary item. So this is what I would have brought up at that stage. So,
Yeah, so could we close this down?
So, yeah, I think we can address that separately. I think it's a very good and worthy point. But yeah, just to circle back, that this is a separate piece of water.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you.
The water program
we're getting paid for it.
is currently provisionally it has Melissa.
Melissa as the elected official and myself as the officer.
So we just need to maintain those.
So we're looking for nominations for elected officers. So I would be happy to continue nominating Melissa and Janice as the.
Janice, yeah,
So
absolutely.
do we need to have alternates?
Totally agree.
It's unusual that one of the others doesn't go, to be fair. Melissa's made most of this.
She's very good.
And, I reserve the right to go.
She's a battler.
But that's just fine.
That's fine.
So I get a mover.
Happy to move in Melissa and Janice.
Right, and Councillor Corey seconded. All those in favour?
Aye.
Those against? Right, great, motion is carried. And then
I think number 10 is not something that we can talk about. That's going to come out of the work that we do, so maybe 10.
Yeah.
Just to note.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right.
Sort of clear and careful.
And that's it. Fantastic. Oh, cracking on now.
We are. I'll be going to my happy place soon.
It's not at the pub.
So we're going to go on to councillor feedback from community boards. And I would maybe suggest that we take this one off the agenda, being that we don't have either the. Yeah.
I'm here. Maddie.
I thought it was Aidan. No.
No, sorry, I only got the.
Which one are we up to? Sorry, which?
I was looking for, councillor feedback from community.
D1.
Yeah, that's right. He could leave because he was leaving, so it was like I had to. Yeah. Right, I'll make it fast.
Yep, okay. Cool. Any verbal reports you would like to share?
Yeah, so at the last Martinborough Community Board, there was a good discussion around the lights and that it's looking good in the square, with the lights that have been done there, and looking forward to seeing crossings and everything like that being done with more lighting. And then we've got the Martinborough Community Board. We spoke for a while with regards about the fact that the Martinborough Community Board, when the three boroughs were put in place, that the community board was combined into the South Wellington Upper District Council. That one of the things was with the Martinborough Borough joining and combining was the fact that there would need to be a Martinborough Community Board due to Payne Estate. Because Payne Estate is the rate of traffic in those other places. So just I guess the importance of having that Martinborough Community Board there with regards to that role. There was a big thanks to Janice for all of her work and her finance team. Janice, but around all of the work that was done around the finances of the Payne Estate and the funds being returned back in there. That was so yeah, an acknowledgement there. And that there was a specialist trust lawyer from Simpson Grierson that is still working behind the scenes, reviewing everything's for next steps. Yeah, so that's just kind of like a brief overview.
Thank you very much. I think we've got a bit of written.
Yeah, if it's okay with the others, read what councillor Bosley's put into the chat. He said, today the Greytown Community Board recognised the contribution of a much loved and valued member of the community, Michelle Allen of the Greytown Pharmacy. She sold after 36 years in business on Main Street, which makes her the longest running single retailer.
Oh.
They're planning to start preparations for Arbor Day celebration 135 years. And we have the South Wairarapa District Council shareholders meeting for Parks and Reserves on the 11th of September. They would like James O'Connor or someone from his team to attend, and asked whether Robin could record the official minutes.
I don't have much of an update from Featherston Community Board because we haven't had a formal meeting since the last strategy meeting. That's coming up next week. But we did have some very passionate and inspired community members come and talk to us about the ball that is going to be coming. Featherston, Lady
Featherston's Lemon Ball.
Lady Featherston's Lemon Ball. So we used to have the Time Travellers Ball that is in the past. It's travelled back in time, and yeah, we've had some people in the community picked up the mantle and then come to talk to us about it. It's likely that we will do a bit of fundraising to support with that.
The ball. Yeah, like a dancey ball.
Like a ball.
Yeah, not a Lemon Ball.
Yeah.
Such a, don't hear that word very much nowadays, yeah.
Not really anything to update.
But for those of you that remember, and Colin will remember this, there used to be a ball every year at the racecourse. And it went from when I was about 18 to about 26, I think, every year the community did it. It was huge. It was the event calendar.
It was.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
I remember my parents ever being
Yeah.
dressed up. Yeah.
I don't remember my dad ever going to those either.
I know you are older.
You are very close to the.
You just look
No, they fired up the sharing all day.
I'm going to go into appointments. So we're doing the slide of the Road Safety Council appointment report. So that's F1 from Councillor Plummer. Do I have a mover to receive the report?
Yeah.
Only seconds. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anybody against? No. Councillor Plummer, is there anything you would like to add to your report?
No, just any questions really. I talked about it last time when I spoke about the regional transport as well too. So.
So I just say, with regards to this, I see that it is, the licensing issues are actually a part of here on the general business. So you go and let them.
Oh yeah, it comes up. So well, yeah, so yes. Yeah, so the licensing things are all the time, and it just depends on around the table who's got a teenager going through it that it becomes quite a topical issue.
Yeah.
The other one that has hit the is the raised pedestrian crossings, and those of you that listen to CB or whatever, there was a big media thing on yesterday on Wellington and how it's slowing down emergency services. Our emergency services here have raised the concern about it. Not all of them. Some of them are easier to get over than others. One particular one in Carterton, which you all probably know, that if you hit it too fast, you'll break your suspension.
Also, if you're driving along
literally,
Cranbourne
for
Road
emergency
and
services, they almost have to stop to go over them. And when you're talking seconds in terms of fires or heart attacks or whatever, that's a real issue. So,
Sullivan, Clumber Road and Masterton, and the ambulance bay is just up the road from me. So they come flying down Clumber Road and I can just about feel them drive through my front lounge, because that's the sound they make when they go flying over those speed bumps. Ridiculous when the ambulance bay is just up the road.
Hey, Councillor Macaulay. So this is the Safer Communities. Why do I have a mover to receive the report? Yeah,
You've got a verbal, I understand.
Mover? I'll second that.
There is no report.
There is no report. Yeah. Had no meetings on it. I didn't even see that when I read
So
the.
it's a very quick report. There'll be no questions.
No questions on that one.
Really good received.
Tell me that.
There's been no meetings on it or anything.
We need to move into public, move into.
Yep.
Into the minutes.
Oh, sorry.
That means I'm taking off.
On the time of it's stated.
So we need to move. Do that.
I'll move it.
We have to resolve to move into public.
So do we have a move?
Happy to move into that.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Hang on. Yeah. Okay.